It started with the sound of thunder in the distance. Not a real storm, but a foreboding noise in my mind that I couldn't quite place. My name is Jin Ho, a 26-year-old flight attendant. Flight 7 C2216 was just another routine day on the job, or so I thought. I joked with my colleague, Hye Jin, about the endless coffee requests and the back row passengers who always seemed to want something extra. We laughed, unaware that our laughter was a fragile thing, about to be shattered. Passengers boarded with their usual mix of excitement and fatigue. An older couple argued over their Jeju itinerary. A child squealed in delight as her father tried to entertain her. Everything seemed normal, yet an uneasiness lingered in my chest. A warning? A premonition? I couldn't tell. We were mid-flight when the shudder hit. At first, I thought it was turbulence, common enough. But then came the sharp jolt, like the plane had hit an invisible wall. Gasps spread through the cabin, and the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. Technical difficulties. Please remain calm and prepare for an emergency landing. My heart pounded as I moved to reassure passengers. Hye Jin and I worked seamlessly, our training kicking in. Yet, something about the captain's tone chilled me. It wasn't just the words, it was the edge of fear. When the plane hit the ground, it wasn't just an impact. It was a violent, earth-shaking blow that sent metal and bodies hurtling. I remembered the world flipping. Up became down, and down became fire. The screams of passengers mixed with the screech of tearing metal. I blacked out. When I came to, smoke filled my lungs, and my chest felt like it had been crushed. Nearby, Hye Jin groaned, her leg trapped under a seat. I pulled myself toward her, ignoring the searing pain in my ribs. "We have to move," I choked out. The cabin was chaos. Flames licking at the walls, debris everywhere. Yet, amid the destruction, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A shadow moving against the firelight. Someone, or something, was there, lingering. As Hye Jin and I stumbled through the wreckage, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Outside, emergency crews scrambled, their shouts distant. But inside, in the twisted remains of the plane, it felt like another world. Then we saw him, a man dressed in dark clothing, moving purposefully through the wreckage. He wasn't helping passengers. He was searching for something. Our eyes met, and his expression froze me. He looked startled, then angry, before vanishing into the smoke. "Did you see that?" I asked Hye Jin, but she shook her head, too focused on the pain in her leg to notice. We didn't have time to process the encounter as the fire began to consume what was left of the cabin. But as we moved toward the emergency exit, I spotted the man again. He was crouched near a shattered panel, prying something loose. A black briefcase. His urgency was palpable, his movements deliberate. And then, a sound. A low, guttural growl. At first, I thought it was the roar of the fire, but then I saw it. A figure, humanoid but twisted, emerging from the shadows. Its skin was charred and glistening, its eyes burning with an unnatural light. The man with the briefcase froze, his face contorted with terror. Before I could shout a warning, the creature lunged. Hye Jin screamed, dragging me away as I stood paralyzed. The man and the creature disappeared into the smoke, their struggle a haunting silhouette. Moments later, there was an explosion, throwing us off our feet. The blast deafened me, and the heat singed my skin. Somehow, we made it outside, collapsing onto the scorched grass. Emergency crews swarmed us, pulling us to safety. My mind reeled, unable to reconcile what I'd seen. Was it real? Or had my traumatized mind conjured a nightmare? Days later, in the hospital, the media swarmed us. Survivors of such a horrific crash were rare, and our story made headlines. But as I watched the news, something caught my attention. Reports of a missing passenger manifest. Someone who was supposed to be on the flight hadn't been accounted for, and the authorities were being unusually tight-lipped. That night, I had a dream. Or was it a memory? The shadowy man from the crash appeared again, this time holding a briefcase. The image burned in my mind, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the crash wasn't an accident. Hyejin and I decided to investigate. Using what little information we had, we traced the missing passenger to a corporation involved in high-tech engineering. They had ties to military contracts, and rumors swirled about experiments gone wrong. Could the man have been carrying something valuable? Something worth killing for? The truth remains elusive. But the crash changed me forever. I've shared my story, not just to honor the lives lost, but to shed light on the unanswered questions. Hyejin and I now work together as advocates for aviation safety, pushing for stricter regulations and transparency. But the nightmares persist. Sometimes I see the man's face, his briefcase, and the firelight glinting off his expressionless eyes. Other times, it's the creature, its burning gaze searing into my soul. I've come to believe the crash wasn't just a tragic accident, but the result of something far more sinister. Flight 7, C2216, wasn't just the end of innocence for me. It was the beginning of a mystery that may never be solved. But as long as I live, I'll keep searching for the answers, no matter how terrifying they might be.